well, getting a little bit more real. Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin joined the group that's been skating up in Cranberry yesterday. The group that skates there today is bound for Buffalo in the NHL Prospects Challenge. And, fun! Good morning to you. Good Thursday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday if you're into football and or baseball. I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates that I hope you'll check out. It's coming together, and maybe that's going to be one of the key elements to this training camp that'll open next Wednesday. Coming together. And I got to tell you, there's going to be some challenges in that, because this dynamic that's going to have to be in play in the coming season is going to be different than anything we've seen here in, I don't even know that we've seen it. If you think about the Penguins over the past 40 years, really, they've either been a veteran-based team, or if you go back to the early 2000s and the arrival of Sid, Gino, and a bunch of others, a group of kids on the rise who had elders, Bill Guerin, Gary Roberts, Mark Bergevin before that, but those guys were more of the role and support players. They were more of the Lars Eller types. These guys, these older guys, are still the headliners. So to go to the Boston example that I keep using, they're now what Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci and Brad Marchand and Zdeno Chara and Tuukka Rask and all of those Bruins core guys were to them as they were bringing along all of the latest Charlie McAvoys. This chemistry has to occur in a way that's not necessarily always very comfortable, but especially, believe it or not, for the older guys, because I have seen it, not just with the Penguins. The older guys will be in one part of the locker room and hear the younger guys making jokes that they don't get, listening to music that they don't get, talking about movies that they don't get, maybe even playing or practicing hockey in a way that they don't get. Think Trevor Zegras. Think about spending any portion of any practice, even afterward, practicing the Michigan. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online, your number one source for all your summer sports needs this season, from Major League Baseball, golf, NHL, NBA playoffs. Get the latest odds and lines, including all team matchups, player props, odds on just about everything that's out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. So while on one hand, the older guys are always going to be eager to sustain a certain culture and a certain way of doing things and a certain way of carrying yourself and caring for your teammates, you also have to let the kids be kids. Now, the obvious blessing in this scenario is that you still have Sid involved. No one makes people feel more immediately welcome than Sid. He doesn't even wait until you're in the room. He'll send you a text right away. He'll get your number from someone in media relations, and he'll send you a message. You're a third-round pick. You're a seventh-round pick. Hey, this is Sidney Crosby. Welcome to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Looking forward to ... He acknowledged earlier this week communicating already with Rutger McGroarty via text, and I'm sure there will be a lot more of that sort of thing in person in Cranberry. A lot of time put into it, a lot of extra time put into it. He gets that he's Sid. He gets that the burden is on him to make them comfortable rather than the other way around. He's always been that way, and he's embraced that role forever. I'm going to tell you, I think there's something else that he gets, and I've believed this for a while, but I hadn't heard it come directly from him until this set of interviews that he did at the NHL Media Day a couple days ago in Las Vegas with designated network rights holders. He was asked specifically about the job that Kyle Dubas has done this summer in making the team younger, fresher, and faster again.
Yeah, I mean, he's the general manager of the team, and he's got to do what's best for the club. That's his job, and I understand that. I've been around for long enough to understand that there's always challenges that come with that. Probably even more so with our team. So, I think that's something that I'm well aware of, and I don't think that that's something that when he's looking at what he has to do, he's got to approach it a certain way, and as a player, I have to do the same. That's just hockey. That's how you get to this point.
Yeah, see, I'd been sharing with you, I guess you could call it an educated guess on my part, knowing him and knowing the scenario, knowing what he was upset about when Jake Guentzel was traded, but knowing that he wants to win, above all, that he would have been okay with this. Sid doesn't just get his part in the game. He gets the team game. Mario Lemieux had a lot of that in him. Mario would be able to tell you something that his fourth line could contribute to a certain game against a certain opponent. It was crazy, but he could do that. And then from there, whatever chemical reaction would result in helping the first or second lines get their jobs done. Case in point, so you don't think I'm nuts. In the 91 Wales Conference Finals against the Bruins, and obviously I'm going way back, but hear me out. Mario was instrumental in assessing that if guys like Troy Loney, Bob Airey, Phil Bourque would all never miss a chance to hit Raymond Bourque, to wear him down, to keep him from providing that jolt, that energy that the Bruins would feed off of in going up ice, the Penguins were going to spend a lot more time in the Boston zone. That was a Mario thing. Not to take credit from those guys who did all the actual hitting, but you get what I'm saying. Sid sees this sort of thing as well. Sid sees that the team wasn't young enough, fresh enough, fast enough. But he's got to be the one that bridges all of those other gaps that would exist between the older guys and the younger guys, and that starts like now. When we come back, J1Q. Today's J1Q comes from Victor in Langley, British Columbia. Says, DK, I also love the fact that there's going to be so much competition in so many positions. This is exciting. But as for the goaltenders, 4 of them competing, and one of them, I hope, 20-year-old Russian Sergei Murashov, will have an amazing camp. So much so that he blows the top off the roof. He makes Mike Sullivan, Kyle Dubas, the players, and the other 3 goaltenders terribly confused on what to do with the opening day roster. How fun would that be? I can tell you're having fun with it already, Victor. And I can also tell you that the other goaltenders might not have as much fun with it. I gotta probably be a little careful here. I don't want to make too much of Murashov in advance. His chances of cracking the NHL roster out of camp are about as close to zero as you can get without being at actual zero. Among other obvious things, he's 20, he's super skinny, he might not be at what would be considered a safe level of NHL conditioning, meaning being able to take care of himself and take care of physical play in the crease. Remember, in Russia and across Europe, it's nowhere near that physical at that position. Also, he's barely played a handful of games even at the KHL level. It's not always easy trying to describe what some other country's top level equates to in North America. The common response is AHL, but I don't buy that. I imagine that the Hershey Bears from this past season would have had their way with most of the European champions. But he wasn't even at that. Now, that said, I couldn't agree with you more that it's exciting. It's exciting to have a pool of, a couple of veterans, in Tristan Jarry and Alex Nedeljkovic, who, by the way, were top half tandem in the NHL this past season, even with Jarry kind of falling off near the end, and then, of course, losing his job in the final month. Their statistics together stood up over the course of the full season. But I really also don't want to go burying in any way Joel Blomqvist. He's the one who already spent a full season in North America in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton specifically. He was an AHL All-Star. He wasn't at his best throughout, but he too was really young at 22. So what you'll have, I think, on the other side of the state is a 2-kid tandem, maybe one that would lean a little more toward Blomqvist because he's already built up a full season of endurance and experience and everything else, while you break Murashov in and have him play, wow, even if he only gets, 35, 40 games, it's going to feel like a heavy season for him compared to what he'd known in Russia. So I'll appreciate your excitement. I'll share your excitement, but I also want to try to paint a picture that's a lot more realistic about what'll actually happen. Heck, it's been so long for Pittsburgh hockey fans to be getting stoked about any young player that all of this is fun. It's actually really, really cool. I appreciate your question, Victor. I appreciate hearing always from our listeners up in Canada. Although I gotta say, the Toronto one's gonna be super annoying. Why are you all so annoying? Why do you think that everybody cares about the Leafs? They just don't. Let's do this again tomorrow.